what is the logic of emotions? And the answer is the brain is wired to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. So what is the logic of emotion? Pain pursues pleasure. Whenever the brain is experiencing pain, the brain is wired to avoid pain and pursue pleasure. Example, you get a headache, what do? You go take something. Why? Pain pursues pleasure. Because humans are biologically needy. We have physical needs, food, air, water, shelter. We also have a relational needs. All right. I refer to them in our work and relate well as CARES, C-A to the 5th power, R-E-S squared. Those 10 relational needs are biologically based, just like food, air, water, shelter. All humans need comfort, attention, acceptance, affection, approval, appreciation, respect, encouragement, security, and support. They are all biologically hardwired into what's called the limbic brain. The limbic system is the emotional part of the brain. And in this part of your brain, all positive and negative emotions come out of the same area. We are influenced by what is in the limbic brain, emotion. All humans are. But these 10 relational needs must be met and will be met. And if they're met in healthy ways, you feel loved. If they're not met in healthy ways, you'll feel unloved. It's real simple. It's not rocket science. But whenever we are in emotional pain, I feel unloved, I feel devalued, I feel I don't matter, I don't feel that I'm good enough, pain, the brain doesn't want to feel that negative pain. It wants pleasure. This is why people turn to alcohol or drugs or porn or religiosity. Why? What you're doing is you're medicating the pain of the unmet relational needs in your life. Nobody wants to feel betrayed. Nobody wants to feel helpless. Nobody wants to feel hopeless. Nobody wants to feel abandoned or rejected or unloved. The brain doesn't want to feel it. So the brain will do something to mask the pain. Sometimes it just covers it with anger. Think of it this way. Would you rather feel angry that you were rejected or you feel the rejection? You'd rather feel the anger. Why? Because feeling angry that I was rejected is a lot safer and less vulnerable than feeling the rejection itself. Pain pursues pleasure. So the brain is wired to avoid pain, pursue pleasure in all aspects of our lives. Everything we do in life is about pleasure or pain. And we deal with the world based on pleasure and pain because that's how the brain deals with the world. All right. So think about it this way. If you are a source of pleasure to someone, if someone is a source of pleasure to you, you feel it. They're a source of pleasure by the way they treat you, the way they talk to you, their tone, their mannerisms, all of that. If someone is a source of pleasure to you, because they're a source of pleasure, you actually feel desire for them, longing for them, a want. And that desire for that person who's a source of pleasure produces feelings of love. And we love those who are a source of pleasure. And when you stop being a source of pleasure for me on a regular basis, I'll stop feeling love. My mentor, Dr. Lori Gordon, said that this way, you can act towards someone in a loving way, even though you don't have the feelings of love. You cannot legislate an emotion. You cannot legislate love. You cannot mandate a feeling. The feelings of love are based on if a person is a source of pleasure in your life. And when they stop being a source of pleasure, you stop feeling love for them. It's simple. It's not rocket science. It's how the brain is wired. When someone stops being a source of pleasure, and a lot of that's based off our history, relationships, how we are treated, all of those things influence that. But when someone stops being a source of pleasure, or you anticipate they'll no longer be a source of pleasure, you stop feeling desire, you stop feeling love. Now, I can choose to treat you with goodwill and respect. I can choose to treat you in a loving way, but that does not mean I feel love for you. The feelings of love are based on whether you're a source of pleasure for me. Now, I would say either you're a source of pleasure or you're a source of pain. If someone is a source of pain, or you anticipate them, how would someone be a source of pain? By the way they treat you. If you're demeaning, if you're mean, if you're insulting, if you withdraw, if you attack, if you call me names on a regular basis, if you treat me in a way that's hurtful, then I don't feel love for you. What the brain actually feels is a threat. It feels danger. You aren't safe. You're actually a threat. And because a certain person is a source of pain, you feel danger from that person. So what does the brain do when it feels that someone is a threat? Well, when it feels that danger, and we don't think in danger like, a lion's coming after you, just any level of threat, the brain does three things. It runs. It runs away from you. Why? Because I feel afraid of you. Or you fight the threat. You attack it. Why? Because I got to get you. I got to beat you before you can beat me. I got to put you down before you can put me down. Or you freeze. Freezing is when your brain just disconnects from your emotional self and that person. And I'm not going to deal with anything emotionally. I'm going to go rigid, numb, cold. This is when depression, all kinds of things, those things kick in. So when you're a source of pain towards someone, you don't feel love for them. You feel danger. You feel threatened by them. You see, love is an emotion. But the emotions of love come when you live in such a way and you treat someone in loving ways. You're a source of pleasure. My mentor said to me a long time ago, everything you do, Rick, produces pleasure or pain in Llewellyn's life, my wife. Do you want to be a source of pleasure or you want to be a source of pain? Because if the bulk of what you do is more painful than pleasurable, don't be complaining when she doesn't feel love for you. She's going to feel threatened by you. But when you live in such a way that the bulk of your behaviors, the majority of who you are as a way of being, is pleasurable, she'll feel love for you. In who you are and how you are moment by moment by moment as a way of being. It was always a phrase. As a way of being, it means my pattern. You're either pleasure or pain. Make a decision. There is a lot of wisdom in that. And here's what I've come to learn. It isn't that difficult. It's just simple. The brain does better with simplicity, not complexity. So you get to decide how you want to be. If you're a source of pain for someone, they're probably not going to feel love for you over time. They might go, I love you as a decision, but I don't feel love for you because you're a threat. And sometimes what I've learned is when people stop having feelings of love, sometimes we created it. Not all the time, nothing's 100%, but a lot of times I ask myself, have I done something to create this in Llewellyn? Have I been living in such a way that stopped this? And if the answer is no, it's just something in them. So I can still be a source of pleasure for them and be patient and kind. So then, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Let's end this with, what can you do if this shows up in your life? If your partner says that to you, first thing you do, accept their feelings as real. Just accept them as real. Don't argue it. Don't criticize it. Don't judge it. Don't evaluate it. Don't try and talk them out of it. It's just their reality for right now. Accept it as real. Because if you don't, the message you're sending them is, oh, see, you can't accept where I'm at. You're trying to change me. You don't want to send that message. Just accept where they're at. Now, accepting where someone is at, does that mean I have to agree with them? No, you don't have to agree at all. That's very important, all right? But I do need to accept it. I don't have to like it, but I need to accept it. Second thing, though you need to accept where they're at, you also need to show respect for them. Respect their feelings, respect their decisions. If you keep trying to change someone or manipulate them, sulk and whine, you're not respecting where they are. So if they say, leave me alone, don't talk to me, leave them alone, don't talk to them. One of the things that Michelle Winter Davis, who's like a major player in the field of marriage therapy, wonderful lady, taught me a lot, not just from her books, but some of the seminars I've attended with her. She says in her book, Divorce Busting, that if your partner tells you, leave me alone, leave them alone. It seems counterintuitive. Well, I'm trying to save the marriage, but if I leave you alone, how can I save the marriage? I got to do something. I got to engage. I got to get you focused on something. I got to keep this thing moving. Well, when someone says, leave me alone, do it. Why? Because if you don't, though it feels counterintuitive to leave them alone, the message you're sending to them is, see, you can't even respect that I need space. In fact, you can't respect I need space is further evidence that I need to leave you. Respect their decisions, respect their feelings. Got it? You don't have to like or agree. Number 3, in all things, act lovingly towards them. Have patience, have kindness. We call the 4 protectors of a relationship. Treat them with goodwill, respect, empathy, and humility. Goodwill, respect, humility, and empathy are what we call the 4 protectors of a relationship and relate well. Those things protect the relationship. At least as far as it concerns you, you're being loving and caring in all aspects of the relationship. So act loving with them, but do it with healthy boundaries. Do it. That doesn't mean you allow them to walk over you, to disrespect you. That doesn't mean you can't say, no, you're not going to talk to me that way. No, you're not going to treat me that way. You have self-respect. That's boundaries. So you can act loving toward them, but have your healthy boundaries in place, all right? Number 4, communicate and listen to their perspective. These are skills you can learn to do, and I encourage you to do that. But communicate and listen to their perspective. Hear them out. Show empathy for their thoughts and feelings. Not agreement, but show empathy for it. Because they need to know that you care about what's happened in them and what's going on in them. And lastly, and this is going to be difficult, be patient with them. You change the things that you can change and quit trying to change them. This is where the Serenity Prayer becomes really helpful. Because the Serenity Prayer, which you hear a lot, is said a lot in recovery programs. The Serenity Prayer is really about limited control. God grant me the serenity, which really means peace. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change and the courage to change the things that I can. You see, we can't really, in reality, we as humans can control very little. And so the serenity prayer allows you to know what you can't, think about what you can change and what you can't change. Because the whole prayer goes on, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Limited control. Don't change your partner. Just accept where they're at. Well, they might leave you. They might, but you keep trying to control them to stay, they're probably going to leave, right? You'll make them leave sooner. Just be patient. Well, what do I do with my pain? Go see a counselor. Get a friend to support you. They don't have what you need right now, but that doesn't mean you can't get it somewhere else in healthy, mature ways. Be patient. And that's the tough part. Go change you. Be patient. Go change the things that you need to change about yourself as it relates to this marriage. Because that's the only thing you can do is just change yourself. Can't change them, but you can change yourself. You can work on the things you need to work on while you have patience with them. So what can you do? Let's repeat them. Accept your partner's feelings. You don't have to agree with them or like them. Show respect for your partner in this time. Respect their feelings, respect their boundaries, respect they say, do this, don't do it. Number 3, act lovingly towards them. Treat them with goodwill and respect, humility, and empathy. We call it the 4 protectors, but do it with healthy boundaries. You don't allow people to run all over you and mistreat you. Number 4, communicate and listen to each other's perspective. Very important to honor their perspective. Understand how they see things. And number 5, what you can do, just be patient and change the things that you need to change. I hope maybe in some small way, this is giving you some insight into that statement that we hear a lot and maybe give you some clarity around it, what it means and what it's about. So begin to realize that some marriages are going to end because of it, but some do not. Some do not. And we're about making sure you can restore the help, the love and the goodwill and all the romance you felt when you were dating. Wouldn't it be nice to live in such a way that you can keep that sustainable and you maintain it even in conflict?